Hey guys, Marisa at KitchenTableStamper.com. I'm so excited to share with you the next Stamp Stack in the Kitchen Table Stamper online classroom. This class is completely free. It's available on the blog. It's a 3-part series and I'll link them all together. If you're interested in picking up the class packet for the class, you'll have to buzz over to the Kitchen Table Stamper store. It's $29.95. It includes first class shipping and it looks like this. So there is a packet that you can use to follow along with these videos. I make them up ahead of time and they are while supplies last. So let's jump right in and take a look. This is our first card design in the Stamp Stack. We're going to start with this guy. Let me show you the other designs real quick. In video number 2, we'll do this design. This Stamp Stack makes 7 cards featuring the Freezin Friends or the Freezin Fun bundle. This is design number 3. This will be video number 3. And the Stamp Stack makes 2 of these. All right, so let's get started here. The first thing we're going to do is cut our designer series paper according to Wonder Recipe number 10. It's a brand new Wonder Recipe. And we are working on the printable document for this. So don't worry, you don't have to sketch it out. It'll be right there on the blog post. There will be the embedded video, a link for the project sheet, and then a link for the Wonder Recipe number 10 printable cutting diagram. We're going to choose any 3 of the designer series papers. You get a quarter of a package of the Trim the Town designer series paper. And I'm going to go with, I think, these 3 on this one. Let's see how it turns out. And we're going to cut all 3 pieces according to Wonder Recipe number 10. Super simple. We do want to pay a little bit of attention here to the orientation of our paper. And we're going to start here with our stripe. We're going to cut this one at 3 inches. All right, then we're going to rotate one of the halves and cut at 3 inches. And then we're going to rotate the other half and we're going to cut at 2 and 4. We're going to repeat that for all of our designs. So we're going to end up with 5 pieces from each 6x6 sheet. Then when we mix and match these pieces, we're going to get a really fun stack of 7 cards with no scraps at all. All right, there's our Misty Moonlight piece. Now let's get our little squiggles here. We're going to do the same thing, but you'll notice that I did the design going the opposite way. So when we cut off our 2-inch pieces on this one, since they both have a very strong linear pattern, I did these 2x3 pieces so that they go horizontal and these going vertical. So it is important to just take a minute and think about what orientation you want as you cut your paper. Remember, the 3x3 piece can be rotated 90 degrees or 180 degrees, but the 2x3 cannot. You get a 3x2 then. Do you understand? So just think about your orientation before you cut. And then our last little guy here. This is our most important one because we want both the 3x3 and the 2x3 pieces to have the tree orientation up. So you're going to have to do this one so that your paper's directional pattern is correct to the right. See? So now when we cut this one into 3-inch pieces, we've got our trees up. And then when we take the next half and we cut 2-inch pieces off, the trees will be growing in their natural direction from the ground to the sky. So there's our paper for this Stamp Stack. Next up, we're going to grab some Whisper White cardstock from the kit. And we're going to stamp our Freezin Friends. Inside your kit, besides that quarter pack of designer series paper, you're going to have Whisper White cardstock. Now we included quite a bit of Whisper White cardstock here for you because our card bases are so dark. So we've included some extra so that you can line the insides of the cards. So you've got 7 cards. You're gonna need about 3.5 pieces, depending on which ones you want to line, if all of them. All right, so we're gonna take from one of these, we're gonna take 4 inches off, and we're gonna set aside the 4 inches, and we're gonna set aside these pieces because this now will make all the liners for your darker cards if you so desire. On these, we're gonna do our stamping. So I'm gonna take this little piece that we've got here and we're gonna stamp a couple of penguins and seals, a couple of piles of snowballs, and a couple of loose snowballs, two of each, so that we have enough for all the designs. All right, so let's get started here. And now we've got the rest of this paper for all of our little miscellaneous pieces. So we want to use it wisely. If you want to, it's a Stamp-A-Stack. So I would highly recommend stamping all of your images for all 7 cards first, then coloring all of your images for all 7 cards, then die cutting all of your images for all 7 cards, then assembling all 7 cards at one time. That's the benefit of these Stamp-A-Stack, is you'll have a pile of great cards really efficiently when all is said and done. So I've got my little seals, penguins, snowballs, and because it's a snowball fight, we need a couple of piles of snowballs too. And we're gonna use every bit of this white cardstock. All right, let's go ahead and get these guys colored in and die cut. Okay guys, I've gone ahead and I've stamped the sets and colored one set. We're gonna go through and I'll just walk you through. I do a very simple, mostly a 2-tone blending. The only one that's a little bit different than that is I used 3 colors for my penguin. And whenever I do a penguin, this is how I do it. I think that black looks best black when it's really not black. If you color in black, it looks kind of blacked out, almost like missing teeth. So I tend to start anything that I want to portray as black with smoky slate. And I'll color a base on my penguin of the smoky slate light. Then we'll do some contour along the edge and under the wing with the dark smoky slate. We're not going to have a lot of the light smoky slate left. But you can see compared to our gray seal, he does look black, but we don't black out and lose his facial features. We don't black out and lose the shape of him. So then I'll go through with the light basic black and just add in a line on the far extreme. So we're starting to get kind of a monochromatic rainbow of gray here. And always as far back, so like his head kind of curves away from us, so the black is at the very edges or underneath, like the underneath of the wing. We're gonna pull the black together with the dark smoky slate, and we'll soften the blend between the black and the gray, and then we'll go over the last time with the light smoky slate. So that's how I do that. You can absolutely go with the dark smoky slate and just color them in if you're looking for a little bit more of a simple coloring, especially since you're making a stack. There's nothing wrong with a simple coloring when you're making a stack of cards. So that's it. Then the rest we'll do with simple 2-tone. So we'll take light, fill it in, like for our little seal here. We'll fill in with light, add a little shadow with the dark of the same color, blend them together. All right, so there they are, all colored up. Let's die cut them. So our Freezin Fun comes bundled with the Freezin Friends dies. You can save 10% when you buy them together. We've stamped our images. Now with the coordinating Freezin Friends dies, we can cut out all of these pieces. Let's get the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and I'll show you. Got 2 cards, one of each for each card, plus we're gonna go in our card kit really quick and we're gonna pull out our 2 Misty Moonlight cards for this. In the kits you have your envelopes, your card bases, and all the basic shapes cut for you. But since I got a little heart here that comes with the Freezin Friends dies, we've included a little Poppy Parade scrap that you're going to use to cut a heart from the Freezin Friends. So 2 passes, we'll cut everybody out and meet back here. All right, everybody's ready for the first pass. See how we've got everything we need for a whole card going through in one pass. Pretty cool, huh? I'll go ahead and get these guys out, run the second pass, and meet you back here. All right, there's our second pass. We got all the pieces cut and colored for 2 cards. Let's clear away the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and grab our card kits. Okay, so we're die cut, coloring all done. Let's take a look at our card kit here. We've got the 2 Misty Moonlight cards bases or card kits that we're going to use for our cards today. But inside of the kit, you're going to find the card bases for this next design. We'll be working on this one in video number 2. So we're going to set these aside. And then we've got our red and our green, our Old Olive and our Poppy Parade for this design that we're going to be working on video number 3. So what we want to do at this point is take a look at the designer series paper that we cut. We've got those 2x3 pieces, 3 each from 3 patterns. And those are for video number 2. Those are for these cards. So we're going to set these aside with the card kits. Now we're left with all the 3x3 pieces, 2 each of 3 patterns. Now you'll notice that on these cards, there's a 3x3 piece and there's a 2x3 piece. So we're going to get a little tricky with this wonder recipe, and we're going to choose 2 to cut in half. So I'm going to cut one of this one and one of this one in half, and I'm going to keep that vertical and horizontal pattern like we started when we were cutting. So we're going to do a little bit more chopping up on this designer series paper. We're going to take and cut this one in half, so at 1.5. And then we'll put 1 for this card and 1 for the third design. And then our Misty Moonlight stripe, let's grab one of those. And we're going to cut one of those in half at 1.5. We're going to keep half for these 2 cards and set this one aside for our final card. Now, for this card, we've got our trees, and we're going to pair up with our Misty Moonlight. And for this card, I'm going to go with my Misty Moonlight and pair up with my squiggles. Then I'm going to take these 2 and I'm going to put them aside. So we're shuffling those pieces from the Wonder Recipe. Now we've got our 2 patterns decided. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's in the kit. So inside your kit, you'll find your card base. It's cut and scored for you. You've got your Stampin' Up! Envelope. Set that aside so it doesn't get inky. And we've got 2 of this design. So you'll find that there are, oh, we already used our little poppy piece. So that's just a little scrap for your heart. Let's set these aside for just a second. Let's fold our card bases. All right, these are 5.5 by 8.5, and they're already scored for you at 4 1/4. So we're just gonna work that crease with a bone folder. And I think everything comes to life with a little bit of background stamping. So we're gonna get a background of your choice. I chose for this one, the Peaceful Boughs stamp set. Has this great little dot pattern, kind of like falling snow. So I got that one. And I've also got my sentiment here. Life's better when we're having fun together. So let's start with the sentiment because we're going to heat emboss it. And we don't want any extra ink or anything on this card when we emboss. We want a nice clean surface. Got some Versamark ink. I'm going to run it just over the bottom here very lightly with an embossing buddy. Whisper white powder. And my fancy dancy embossing spork. Can't do heat embossing without that. Let's go ahead and add our greeting. And the greeting is going to go about 1/2 inch up and 1/2 inch from the right on the card base. These are always hard for me, but I'm going to just be brave. I say just own it. Then right away, we're going to bring the card over the container with the white embossing powder. Bring some powder over and flick the excess back into the container. Nice and tidy. All right, repeat, and then we'll heat. Look at that beautiful white sentiment. Now let's add a little stamping to the background. If you stamped your background first, you can heat the background with a little bit of heat using your heat tool and make sure that your Misty Moonlight background is set before you add the embossing powder. And now we're just gonna kind of stamp around our greeting. Add kind of a snowfall to the background here. Bottom right corner and then upper left. Just twist the stamp a little bit as you fill in. Pretty cool. Let's repeat. What a great background. Now, because backgrounds really do add extra texture and life, we're going to go ahead and stamp our die cuts. We did these ahead, but if you're following along without the kit, this is the 2nd largest oval rectangle label from Hippo and Friends dies. We've cut them out of old olive, and now we're gonna background stamp them with the buffalo check. Right, I've got a piece of small grid paper. Let's go ahead and ink up a portion of our stamp. Then we'll lay our label right on the stamp image here, face up with the stamp. I like to choose carefully so it looks even right to left. I put one line of the buffalo check going kind of straight down the middle of the label, and then just burnish with your fingertips and apply that image. Pretty cool, huh? It's really going to add a lot of visual interest to our finished card. Let's repeat that for the 2nd label. Got my Stampin' Seal Plus and my 2 cards. We're going to add our Designer Series paper to the front. And I want to keep that vertical and horizontal difference going here. So we're gonna adhere our blue, our Misty Moonlight, with the vertical and our Poppy Parade horizontal. Then you can go ahead and add your label over the top of your Designer Series paper. Everything's just a little bit toggled. It's kind of cute. And for this one, we're gonna go ahead and, I hate gluing down the B-sides of these papers. This is such a great paper pack. All the papers are so cool. All right, so little jaunty angle. We'll get our Misty Moonlight piece on there. And repeat with the label. Now before we can finish up, I've got from the kit a couple of Whisper White stitched labels here. So if you're following along and you don't have the kit, you're going to cut yourself a label using the stitched rectangles, or you can cut a piece that's 1 13/16 by 3 1/8. It's one of those middle sizes. Now we're going to take our grid paper again and lay our rectangles. Because these guys are in an outdoor scene, we're going to help that little outdoor scene along. Got some Pool Party ink and a sponge. I'm going to dab the sponge in the ink and then approach the rectangle from off the edge, kind of a circular motion here. And we're going to add a little bit of blue sky to the top half of this label. You can add more, but you can't take it off. So kind of tap off on the side and then come in from off the edge and just layer on until you're satisfied. Remember that it dries just a little bit lighter than you'll see with the wet ink. So there's our sky. Let's adhere that to the card. Got more Stampin' Seal Plus here. We're gonna put that, it's off center to the right of the card a bit. I'm gonna give my label just a little twist here. Get a little bit straighter because I'm not liking the pattern of the buffalo check going downhill. There we go. So there's our backgrounds. And do the same with this guy. Let's straighten my label just a bit. Oh, I almost put my sky down. Did you see that? All right, there's the sky. Let's go back to our kit here for just a minute. In your kit was some Misty Moonlight ribbon and some embellishments. We need some ribbon here. We're going to tie 2 bows. I like to tie directly from the card, and then we have as little waste as possible. There is usually a rule of thumb is about 8 or 9 inches, but if you can tie it from the card or the spool, you'll always get more mileage out of your ribbon. So we're going to take ribbon, and tail is on top, and we just fold. See how there's no twisting here? Just fold, and you pinch and over the top, and then tuck that in, hold the center, give it some finesse, and then pull tight. Let's get 2 bows, 1 for each card. And see, that's all the waste we have. The rest is still right on the spool. Right, cutie little bows. Let's get glue dot and adhere them to the label, make it a tag. Now we need lots and lots of mini dimensionals. We're going to put mini dimensionals on the back of each of our snowballs and critters. We're going to bump up all these pieces. So let me get some dimensionals on all of these. Okay, everybody's got dimensionals and they're sticky. We're about to wrap this card up. So at our little pile of snowballs, and we want that to breach the edge of our rectangle. Same with the little heart. That's going to go off the top. Got our little seal buddy and our penguin. I like him leaning back like he's going to launch a snowball. Not quite off the edge of the rectangle, but the snowball goes kind of off the edge. He's got one in each hand. He thinks he's pretty funny. And then one in our seal's hand. That's it. Life is better when we're having fun together. That's card number 1 in this 3 video series. In the next video, we will work on 'Tis the Season to be Freezin'. We're going to get 3 of this design from our Stamp-A-Stack. I'll see you in video number 2. Thanks for watching.